Hey, welcome today to Copilot Chat with your two hosts for Microsoft's Healthcare and Life Sciences Group. We're joined by
Darryl Rowe, sorry. I wasn't paying
Darryl
attention.
Rowe, and I'm Mike Gannotti. And today we're going to talk to you about Copilot Chat. And it's an exciting topic because it's something we use every day. It's something that's been made freely available now to all enterprise customers, and we'll talk a bit about that. But without further ado, we want to jump in. We have a few slides to cover. Then we're going to use Copilot Chat to show Copilot Chat. So you want to take it away, Darryl?
Yeah, thanks, Mike. We'll do. So, yep, as Mike mentioned, we're going to talk about Copilot Chat. But I guess the first question is, as everybody's asking, is what is Microsoft Copilot? And we believe at Microsoft that my slides moved. That Copilot is the UI for AI. There we go. It works now. So what does that mean? So if you think about a UI user interface for everything in artificial intelligence, so Copilot is my one-stop shop. If I want to ask a question about something I'm working on at work, maybe looking at a document or an email, I would go to Copilot. If I want to ask questions about something in the web, if I want to do some research or do a search, I can use Copilot. If I want to do something with an agent, when something we're going to talk about in a future series, I would go to Copilot. So just think of it, one icon click. So, before this, I might have just clicked my browser and clicked around the internet. What I do with Copilot, though, is I just ask it one thing. It's one interface, ask it questions. It literally is my assistant. And it can help me with things either in work or outside of work.
And I just want to highlight, too, like when we talk about, chat, one of the things I love about it is how we make it available across platforms. So, typically you and I, because we're in Teams all day, we access that chat right in Teams.
Yep.
But you can also get it through the browser. And indeed, here I'm on my phone and I'm in Teams. So if I come on back here, you'll see there's chat in Teams. But up at the top, we've got that little icon when I tap it.
Yep.
Now I'm in Copilot right on my phone. And everything that we're going to show and talk about today, I can do from any of those: browser, within Teams, the client from the desktop, or from my phone.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm going to show you where to find that. So that's something we're going to definitely cover off. But when you hear the word Copilot at Microsoft, depending on who you talk to, you're going to hear a different story. So Copilot is really our branding for our artificial intelligence portfolio. I like to joke that if you talk to someone at Microsoft and took a drink every time you hear the word Copilot, you'd probably be drunk after about 15 minutes. And that's taking small shots. But today we're going to focus on Copilot Chat, which is actually was formerly known as, back in the day, Bing Chat Enterprise. You may have heard that, or Copilot for Web. So there has been some rebranding. So we're just going to, clarify what the branding change is and what it does. But under the covers, it's still the same product. So we're going to see how Copilot Chat can help you, and some easy things to do with Copilot Chat as well. So first things first, where do you find it? And as Mike mentioned, Copilot shows up everywhere. If you see that little rainbow logo, you'll see it in various places. You'll see it in Teams. So imagine if you got it as part of your Teams, your admins added that to your Teams chat. You see it on what we call the left-hand rail. So here you can see it there, and it opens Copilot there. If you go to your chat listing, there's even an option to have it sitting on the very top of your chats. So before you see anybody's names or anything else, you'll see Copilot there. You'll see Copilot in Windows, and you'll see the rainbow logo with an M365 icon under it. So that is Copilot and Copilot Chat. You'll also see it in your browser. If you're using the Edge browser, you'll see it as part of the toolbar, as well as if you go to your homepage or you go to Bing, you'll see the logo there as well. So there's plenty of places you can find it. And if you don't find it, there's options available to pin it to your taskbar as well. Go ahead, Mike.
Do you mind if I quick show that?
Absolutely, go for it.
So I'm going to quick share my screen, and I'm in a demo environment over here. And are you seeing my screen now? Excellent.
Yep.
So, here we are. I'm in chat, and I do see it up here, but perhaps IT did not roll it out and enable it to show there. So if that's the case, and I want to have it readily at my fingertips, because I know we have that freely available one for the enterprise, and this is a way to find out if you have it as well. You may not even know. So you can check for it. Just come down on your left-hand rail to where the little three ellipses are, and it says View More Apps. I'm going to select that, and now mine's showing, but I could also then just type Copilot, and then boom, it's going to show up. And now I can go ahead, open that, then right-click on it. Oh, it's automatically pinned it. And then I can move it up, reposition it, so put it where I'd like it. But now it's going to be right there at my fingertips at any given time. So lots of places it can appear. If you want it to show up in Teams for you, even if you don't know if you have it, go there to More Apps, search for Copilot, and then you can pin it. And you can take control back.
Yeah, thank you.
I just thought I'd show that because a lot of times people have it and they don't even know. And they're like, well, how would I even know? Go look.
Absolutely. That is critical. You got to know if you got it or not. And you probably heard, you probably got your interface. When you do find it, there's again confusion, right? So Copilot Chat is the Copilot for the web. So if you've got the interface in front of you and there's a slider, if it's pointing to the web, if it's clicked on web, or there is no slider at all, and I'll show you both versions, that's going to the web only. That means I'm only accessing information in the internet. I'm using a GPT model, GPT-4o currently, and Bing as the search engine. And I'm using something called enterprise data protection. And that is super critical. So with enterprise data protection, I'm passing information into the AI, but it's protected. I'm not sharing it into the internet. I'm not putting my critical data, my documents and files into the internet. We're not training on it. It's not going outside of your browser, but it's super critical that you're aware of that. So I'm not using a third-party AI from somebody else where you have no clue where this goes. Yeah. This is part of your Microsoft data protection service and privacy. So we do not share that data with anybody else. It never leaves your boundaries of your browser, pretty much.
And I think that's critical for people to understand because, a lot of times they get apprehensive. Well, if we're doing web, oh my goodness, because they're thinking of those services like standalone, AI freebies that are out there, and that it grabs that data, it gets pulled into the model to train the model, retained. Search engines that are out there that are doing AI and they have freebies, but with enterprise data protection that you automatically get as a Microsoft customer, you get that protection that you would not have otherwise.
Yeah, absolutely. I was chatting with my daughter yesterday and she was using some third-party AI and I'm saying, hey, did you know that if you're not paying for this, then you are the product? Pretty much, right?
That's right, yeah. And that could also mean your company data, right?
Absolutely. Your data is being sent somewhere else, right?
Yeah.
What's important is we say this is the free version of Copilot. It isn't. It's included in your Microsoft 365 existing services when it's just not charging anything extra for it. So if you have Microsoft 365, it's included, right? And I'm talking about for Microsoft 365 Enterprise. I'm not talking about the personal version.
Right.
So that's it. It's no additional cost. In other words, it's not actually free, right? It's just no additional cost. And then if you've got the other version, if you've actually got both, the full license, you'll see the toggle. And the work version is what we call M365 Copilot. And that accesses your data, your email, your OneDrive files, everything else. But there is a big difference. And I'm actually going to switch them just briefly, just to show you on the screen what the difference looks like, because that is important. So if I pull up Copilot here on my left-hand side, you can see I have the toggles. I can switch between the two. It's even loading my agents for me. It's very convenient. I'm also going to pull up the other version. If you don't have the license and you don't see any toggle, this is the one that just goes to the web. So with this switch to web mode and this not having any mode at all, they're identical. They do the exact same things. You're not losing out at all with one or the other.
Yeah.
The difference being, if I've got the work mode, I can do far more with my, my work stuff.
Yeah, and that's huge, right? Because with that work one, if you do have it, it allows you to go against all that data that you have access to, because we respect permissions, and that's covering stuff from Teams and SharePoint and Exchange and all that goodies, all gets pulled in and available to you.
Absolutely. Okay. So I like to think of Copilot Chat as basically my super search engine. So I've been using the internet for a number of years. You can tell I'm getting on in my years. But if you think about the internet's been around for at least 30 years, right? And then search wasn't much far after that. So I'm used to using a search engine. I've been using them all, right? I've used Yahoo, Ask Jeeves, Bing, Google. They're all out there, right? But typically, I've got in a habit of when I create a search, I ask it 1 or 2 words. I don't do much more than that, right? But I'm also used to seeing, thousands of results, and I'm used to seeing ads. So kind of used to doing that. Copilot has changed how I search now. I can ask it questions in natural language. I can ask it subsequent questions, and I have context. So if I do a follow-up, I don't have to do a complete brand new search of a new search prompt. I basically just have a conversation with it. It only gives me the most relevant results, so I don't get thousands of pages of stuff or thousands of pages of answers. I don't get any ads, which is super important. So I'm not having to click through. And ads can be, it can actually make the experience worse, because I might get the number one thing is an ad, thinking it's my right data, and actually click an ad and it's something completely different. So not good, right? I can also use Copilot to do some other cool stuff. I can use it to generate content. So if I want to write a document or a blog post or something else, it can help me do that. It can summarize longer content. So if I've got a very, very complex document or very, very long document even, it can shorten it down, read it for me, and give me the highlights. And what's nice as well is I can stack all these different requests into one prompt. So we call those super prompts, where if I've got something a little bit more complex, I want to ask it 4 or 5 different things, I can just do it in one go. I'm able to create different searches and try and piece them all together. So
now
you
mentioned documents. Well, you're going to show some of those. I'll hold that one. I'll wait.
Yeah, absolutely. So an example, this is a simple search, right? I'm looking for a hotel. I want to stay somewhere near the Microsoft office. I don't know where the Microsoft office is, even though by my accent, you might think I'm from that area. I actually live in Chicago now, the Chicago area. So I have no clue where the Microsoft office is. So imagine I've got to visit the office and I need to find a hotel for that. So I go into my regular search engine, and I'm not showing you the whole thing, it's just a screenshot. I've got ads. I've got different reviews. It doesn't really help me. I have no clue where the office is, for one. So it's mentioning Covent Garden, it's mentioning Westminster. They're very different parts of London. I mean, London's fairly compact in that regard, but I could still be, a couple of miles away from the office. I asked Copilot to do the exact same thing, and straight away it knew where the office was, which I think is super useful. That's a plus, right? And then now it's only recommending hotels in the same vicinity. So Paddington is where the office is. Now, Paddington isn't even on this map on the left-hand side, so I wouldn't know. Here it's telling me these are the ones near the office. Now, Paddington, typically that area is walkable. These could be an Uber or a tube ride away. So straight away, it saved me a ton of work. Just one difference, one prompt. So, exact same thing in both.
When you're looking at that, I mean, to me, this is what I think, right? On the left, when you're talking about, the search engine, it gives you these results, 1 of 10 of 10 trillion gazillion, right?
Oh, yeah.
Do you then have to go through and take extra steps to start to figure out what's what and where and how close and all that. So you're doing a ton of work
Yeah.
around
Yeah.
that info. The
Absolutely. Yeah.
the other one back in, with Copilot, it's like it did all that work already. It looked up and found the exact place, right, for the
Yep.
office. Then it found the things in proximity, and then it listed them out and presented to you as if you had just spent the next hour or more
Yep.
figuring all that out.
Oh yeah, this could have been 4 or 5 different searches, piecing them together.
Yeah.
And then remembering all that stuff, writing it down or putting it into a, OneNote or something.
Very
And
cool.
another good example of that, I actually wanted to show you one more. And you mentioned finding thousands of pages. Something really, really simple, right? Comparing an Xbox and a PlayStation. So I'm a gamer. I like playing games. My kids love games. We've got every PlayStation, Xbox, Nintendo out that's been released in like the last 20 years, right? But imagine I was looking for something. I need to buy a new device. And I don't know which one to get. I go into one engine, and these are genuine searches. You can go and do these yourself. Comparison of Xbox and PlayStation. Maybe I'm not a gamer. I'm going to buy something as a gift for somebody, right?
Yep.
Look how many different pages I could actually go through. It hasn't actually told me what the comparison is. It's just given me links to different websites, right?
They do the comparisons.
Yes.
And then you got to read them.
Exactly, right. Now, I've done this on the right-hand side. Now, maybe, again, I'm not an expert on some of these things, but it's given me the hardware specs. What's really nice, it's saying, well, okay, it's exclusive games. So if if you're a person you buy it from, like shoot 'em ups, like Halo or driving games, maybe Xbox is the way to go. Maybe they like Spider-Man, then, well, that's only available on PlayStation, right? I've gone and it's given me different things. This could have been, again, 5, 6, 7 searches, right?
Yep.
And if you don't know what the thing is to begin with, you'll be lost in this thing, right? This is an ocean. Here, it's just basically giving me exactly what I wanted.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. Again, all that intermediary work taken care of.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're going to show some of this in a moment. But again, I talk about research. What I've noticed is I changed how I write my prompts or my searches, right? I tell it, imagine I'm having a conversation. Mike and I sit in maybe at a cafe and we're chatting, right? I'm asking him a question. I don't ask him 5 or 6 word questions, right? He'd think I'm crazy for one, right? So how would he know? If I'm mentioning, hey, I'm looking for a new car and this is my budget, and maybe Mike's an expert in electric cars, right? This is what I'd ask him. This is what I put in my prompts. And I get my results exactly how I want them. He'd give me the relevant detail, yeah?
Yep.
So super important, so doing research. Then imagine, again, planning my trip to London. I can change, again, how I search. I can stack all these different prompts or these searches into one thing. So I'm planning my trip to London, near the Microsoft office. I want somewhere budget-friendly, near the theatre district. Suggest some places to eat as well, and a good play of musical while I'm there. And it will actually give me all that in one result. A search engine would take 5, 6, 7 X number of results, right?
Yep.
Then I'm using Copilot to, I want to maybe take a test. Maybe I'm taking a history quiz. I need to go back to school to do that. Copilot can actually help me quiz that. I can ask it to give me some questions and it will test me on it. So, it's like having a friend. Again, imagine Mike's an expert on Henry VIII. I can ask him, give me some questions, and he'd do that. If Mike's not around, but I've got Copilot can do it too.
Very cool.
And then a long document. So maybe there's a podcast out there. It's 11-minute listen. I do have the text for it. I don't have 11 minutes to find out what this was about. I open my browser, click the Copilot icon on the right. Copilot will tell me what's going on. So Copilot Chat is super, super powerful, especially on the web. Can do a ton of things. Or imagine I've got a really long document. I'm doing some research on nuclear fusion. I have not a clue what that means. I watched the movie Oppenheimer and I kind of got, the science stuff didn't really stick with me. But imagine I want to know more about that. I can actually ask it to explain it to me as a layperson.
Yep.
And then lastly, or following up, I can get it to generate stuff for me. So imagine I'm writing a blog post. I want to put this on LinkedIn. I can get it to write. Again, it's not an autopilot. I couldn't just copy paste this and put it into LinkedIn. But I want to get a start. If I've got writer's block, this will help me unblock my creative writing. Copilot can start writing it for me. I can go in there, correct it, change it, and it's done. It's done. You know, something that would have taken me 2-3 hours is done in a matter of minutes now. And I'm not a graphic artist by any means. There are some great graphic artists out there, but maybe I need to do something really, really quick. I want to generate something. Again, this is something that's quite cool. Someone shared this prompt with me. I'd love to have a Funko of myself. It kind of doesn't quite look like me, but I guess it's close enough. I actually had Copilot generate that graphic for me. And before I switch to the demo, one last thing. Imagine I'm just having a bit of fun. We've actually got a team quiz coming up later in the week. Imagine actually having Copilot to help me prepare that. We're going to play Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. Copilot actually asked me the questions, just like the game show.
That's pretty cool.
So it's actually, you know, a little bit of fun.
And so for all of these, they're doing research again that you would be going out to the internet. In the past, you'd go to a search engine, of which there are many. You'd search, you'd have to pour through, distill the information down, pull it together, put it into a single format. But Copilot is doing all that in between stuff.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Absolutely. So I guess this is time to segue into, you know, demoing what Copilot Chat can do. So we're going to switch between us. We've both got some great prompts to do there. So we're actually going to, I guess I get to go first because I've got the screen share. So I'll grab that. And I'm going to open up my Copilot window. I'm going to make it so you can see it better because I've got a 4K screen and bigger. And also remember, throw the tab, make sure you're on the web version, right? If I did it in the work version, I would get some results. I get some interesting results, but it would be grounded on my work stuff. It doesn't ground on the web, so I can't like ask it the latest stuff. So, for example, if I asked Copilot, "What's the weather like tomorrow in London?" It's going to go to the web, and it's going to go and pull out the very latest information. And tell me exactly what it's going to be like, as well as give me links. So there's actual links here, weather information, so I can actually verify that. So it's not just providing me the information, not giving me any, you know, backup. It actually provides me the links to do that too. So super important, but it's not tens of thousands of links. If I asked for weather, the search engine in London, I don't know how many links I'd get. Probably pages of them, right?
Yep.
So what else can I do? Plenty of other things. So as you mentioned before, I already showed you things that looking at using comparing Xbox to PlayStation. I could do that. I could search for where the office is. This is an interesting one. That's something that one of our CVPs at Microsoft, or EVPs, I think, has demoed. And I like to show this one because it's actually quite funny. Is how big is an Indian elephant? Okay, so here it's doing some research. It's giving me how many elephants there are, the height of them, the size of them, everything else. They're telling them they're smaller than their African counterparts. Okay, so I'm going to ask you something a little bit interesting now. If I wanted, hang on, let me start that again. I want to send an elephant to the moon in my keyboard's having fun here, in a rocket. Okay, let me just fix my weird keyboard. Having some peripheral problems right now. How big should the rocket be? How much fuel do I need? What other considerations Actually, you notice I misspelled that. We're going to see if it figures it out. Can I? Well, it should just be should I take, right? So I don't know if anyone's going to try this, and if it's something that NASA has a plans for. But here you can tell me straight away. It's given me some interesting
That's pretty
answers.
interesting. I saw fuel. Yeah.
Yeah. So if I did build it, it's going to weigh, the elephant's going to be 5,500 kilograms to 1,000 pounds. So it's giving me the size. You need a very large rocket. Starship from SpaceX, which I think is the world's largest right now. I don't think we've got bigger than that. Can carry up to 150 metric tons. So that would actually probably work quite well. It also tells me the fuel requirements. I'm going to need life support, everything else. But imagine, I was crazy enough to do this. This is give me an idea on how to do that. And here I've got some, again, references to where to go and find stuff.
That's pretty cool.
It isn't bad, right? So I'm going to also getting back to research. I'm going to ask you a couple more things, then I'll pass it over to Mike to do some really good demos on healthcare stuff, which I think is super cool as well. I'm going to ask it, what is the growth of EV in the world for the last 10 years? So electric vehicles, I think, are super cool. I want to see how they've been growing over the last years, how the sales have gone. And here you're telling me it's gone from, from around 450,000 in 2015 to nearly 10 million in 2024. Wow. So it's gone up quite a bit. Okay. Now imagine I had to put this into a presentation, put this data into a graph. And I want to share that graph in a PowerPoint. Now, I could, got this written down, put it into Excel, got Excel to plot it, then paste the Excel into the PowerPoint. And that would probably take me a while.
Oh, wow.
It could take me an hour or two. How about Copilot just does it for me? Okay. Well, now, I forgot saying, I've got to find about hybrid cars. Add in hybrid cars to the graph. So I want to do the comparison. It's going to do the lookup. It's going to see the growth of hybrid cars in the last 10 years as well. It's going to add that to the EV car sales. And boom.
Yep.
I saved that picture. It's in my PowerPoint. I'm done. How long would that have taken otherwise? Search engine, Excel, I don't know. Would you rate Mike? Hour, 2 hours?
Yeah, I mean, well, I fumble whenever I try to do graphs. It's not my forte.
me either, right? And yes, you might have seen our briefing on Copilot and Excel. Yes, it's not my favorite thing either. Right. One more last thing, and I'm going to hand over to Mike. I'm going to do that little quiz, my history quiz. And I've typed this prompt out already because you want to see me typing for the next 5 minutes, struggling my keyboard. So I'm going to actually play that little Henry VIII quiz, and here you can see straight away. Name of Henry VIII's first wife. Come on, Mike, you can help me out with this. I know I'm the British guy, but
his first wife. Wow.
Yeah. Don't Google it or Bing it.
I have not. Anne Boleyn. I don't think that's
Anne Boleyn.
it.
Okay. Hey. I don't know. We'll find out. We're going to get the score in a minute. Okay. Let's see. So we're going with A. All right. Next question. Who was executed? Catherine. Well, I think I know that one. I think that was Anne Boleyn as well, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
So she's definitely not the first.
No. What was the reason he broke away from the church? I'd say all of the above, I guess. I don't know. What do you reckon?
To annul his marriage.
Okay. I like that.
C.
Okay.
I actually think I remember that.
You'd be my phone a friend on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. Who succeeded him as monarch? Okay. This is a good one. I'm gonna.
Elizabeth. Is it Edward? I don't know if it was king or queen.
He had a son, so I do know that. So
he did have a son. Was it Edward?
It was Edward or James. Edward James. I'm going to go with Edward. And his castle or his palace.
Buckingham.
Okay. Let's see how we get. We might have to restudy some of this.
I think so.
Okay. Uh-oh.
Here we go.
We got
A was
3.
B. Hey, we got 2 right. We got 3 right.
3 right.
4.
Okay. No, we got 3. It says 3 out of 5.
Oh.
Okay.
No, I meant question 4.
Oh, right. Yeah. So what's that? What's that a grade? That's a C
That's
grade?
A 50.
I think we passed. Yeah, we passed. We got it. Okay, but imagine though, I mean, this is a little bit of fun we're having, but imagine that quiz could be about anything, right? It could be about some medical procedures. It could be about medicines, something you're studying. It's wide open, right?
Yeah.
I don't have to hit the books, go, to help me study a test. I could do my research with Copilot. I can get it to quiz me on it. Super powerful.
Very cool.
Alrighty. So I hand the screen share over to. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm gonna take over the screen because one of the things you did a great job with your prompts. You were able to put a prompt in and generate that content. I am not so good at making my prompts, and I know there's an art and a format and all this stuff. I struggle, especially when they get into more complex things, right?
Yeah.
So I've got an example one, and this is doing some research, and I'm going to ask Copilot to help me make the prompt because, I know that what I'm asking is pretty involved, and I want to make sure that it's represented properly. And so why not ask Copilot? And that's what I do on a frequent basis. So I said, here, help me make a prompt that helps me get the historical data of morbidity rates amongst age groups 60 to 70. I want to show results for top 5 diseases in the age group and put the results in a table. I have no idea how to make a prompt, but I know that asks all that. I know it could get pretty involved. So instead of me trying to fumble and get frustrated, I'm just asking Copilot to make it. So sit here and run that. Sure, I can help. And it says prompt, retrieve historical data for individuals ages 65 to 70. So there's the prompt, and it gave an example table. And I'm going to say, I also want to have the results be from years 1990 to 2023. So now it's so it's getting a little more detailed. Boom. So it's gone ahead, and I can move my mouse. I need a mouse again. Retrieve the historical data for that from 1990 to 2023. Identify, and then it has the per 10,000. It's given a sample table, and then I could say, what are then I can start to drill down, right? Can you help with data visualization tips? How to interpret the data effectively? What are common sources for this data? Again, all those things that typically I'd be fumbling on a search engine, doing research. And here, now it's getting the information here. It's saying from the CDC, from the National Center for Health Statistics, the Society of Actuaries. That's pretty interesting. Actuaries, right? Because, they're going to have a lot of that data. And then I could continue to go in and access and ask it for specific information. But all I had to do was, instead of me fumbling with the prompt, ask it, make the prompt for me. So I love doing that. The other thing is, you mentioned with medical, right? Because we deal with healthcare and life sciences.
Yeah.
And one of the things, like you showed Funko, but if I need an image, maybe I need an image I want to use later for a PowerPoint or a Word doc. I'm not quite sure which. Again, this same exact spot in chat, I can come right into here to start making pictures for me. So I could say, create a picture of a male nurse in an ER washing their hands. And I'll just leave it at that. And you can ask it to do that. It says, hey, I'll try to create that. And now it's going to go ahead. It's looking, it's now analyzing the different pieces. The more descriptive I am, the more spot on it's going to be. But it's now going to generate 4 possible images that I can choose from. And notice it also is already prompting me change the setting to a hospital room, add more details to the scene, make it a female nurse, boom, and there we go. And so, if I want, then I can take and copy any one of these. I can open up and say, hey, what does that look like? That looks pretty. Why does he have hair like that when I'm stuck with this? That's my only question.
Fashionable, right?
But here it is, and now I can download, I can add it to pages so I can reuse it later, or I can copy that image to take, and of course I can rate it. And so it's just great again for getting that kind of information again. And then I clicked likes, and then it's going to let me give some feedback. So that's another example. The last thing is, it did mention in my previous one the CDC. So if there's a particular source that I want to pull information from, I can go ahead and ask it that. So I could say here, hey, Copilot, can you pull me the 5-year trends? Let me get trends around, let's say, RSV. I know that's been in the news a bunch. Mm-hmm. From the CDC. And if I wanted, I wasn't going to do this, but I could even come in and let's say, I think it's cdc.org or .gov.
.gov,
right? That it? Yep. Yeah. Here we go. So I could even give it the exact URL, and I'm looking at the wrong thing there. There we go. From the CDC at seasonal patterns, typically fall hospitalizations, outpatients, and a notice for each. It's providing a link to the source for more detailed information. I can go to there. I pulled from their RSV page. I can get information there. Then I can start to get into it. What is it, right? What are the symptoms? Boom. And it's just going to continue to help me to drill down into that. And think about that as a nurse. I could be walking, through the corridors and right off my phone doing the exact same thing. Here we go. How is it transmitted? Is there a vaccine? What are risk factors? On and on and on. Drilling down, getting the information instead of starting my search or going to the CDC site, fumbling around, finding a page, reading it all, getting the information. I can go right here. Finally, I could say, something like, create the outline for a blog post on the seasonality. Hope I spelled that right. I did not. On the seasonality, hospitalizations, and symptoms of RSV. So we've been going in there. So maybe I want to do a blog post and I want it to, give me an outline. And so now it's going in. Boom, there's the outline. And then I could actually say, generate a detailed blog post from the outline and continue on. But all that research, getting the information we want, getting ready to put it into a usable format and doing that, instead of anybody who's done this knows it takes you time. And so we've saved tons of time here just by starting to ask questions and post them. And when we don't know how to ask it, asking Copilot, how do I ask?
Yeah, that is super cool. And again, think of it like talking to another person. It's not a machine. It is a machine, obviously, but it's smart enough to, understand anything. So I noticed you corrected your spelling mistake. If you left that in there, it would have understood that and would have fixed it.
Yep. And it really is your co-pilot, your assistant.
Yes.
Hey, go do this. Go do this for me. It's like that intern we all wish we had at our side.
Yep. Absolutely. And again, this is probably the same for you, Mike. I use Copilot for the web every day. At work, at home. I use the app on my phone. It's just so much simpler than search engines. So
much simpler and so much more time saved. Cutting out it's really that cutting out the middleman of the finding it, pouring through it, and then synthesizing it out, right?
Yeah, and a lot richer information coming back as well.
Yep. So that's all I got. You got any last words?
No, I think it just if you've got Copilot enabled in your tenant, make sure you've got it pinned in Teams or in your taskbar. Super important.
If you don't know if you have it, go to search for more apps and type in Copilot.
Yeah. Or go to your Windows button and go search for it, and in your apps should be there. You'll see it as the icon with the M365. So use that. Get in the habit of using it. I think that's the big thing, right? Don't just click on it once and try it and then leave it. It's get in the habit of using it. Your prompting skills will get better and better. We did do a session on a prompt alongathon. I think it's our first ever session, right? So go back and review that if you want. If you want to get a little bit of practice there, understand how to use that, and you'll see some of the use cases we did there.
Yeah, I'll put a link in the resources for here.
Yeah, and you'll see the slides that look very familiar because they're pretty much the same slides. But get in the habit of using it, and you'll be an expert in a matter of time. It won't take long. No.
And again, if you just don't even know how to ask, just ask it. I'm trying to do this. What should the prompt look like? And it'll give it to you.
Absolutely. And then it's some really cool stuff on the consumer one as well. So if you download the app from the store and you get the consumer one, you can even talk to it, which is even cooler. I think.
Use that. You mentioned that. I use the consumer one standalone app on my phone all the time.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and I think you'll see it. I think might have been in the prompts alongathon that I think we demoed the. It was giving me French tuition, which is actually quite funny.
Oh yeah.
So worth checking that out as well.
Very cool. So that's all for this session. The next session we're going to be this one was more about people using it. The next one we're going to do will actually be on administering it. So if you're in IT and you want to set that pin, set it up for folks, make sure you're locking down things and making it as secure, as you need. We're going to hit all that around Copilot Chat. And until the next time, this is Mike and
it's Darryl.
Bidding you all have a great day, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah, thanks everybody.